Welcome to This Explainer. I am so pumped to have you here today because we're looking at one of the absolute most fascinating and, yeah, often frustrating mysteries in daily nutrition. Today, we're going on a hunt for the missing data in our daily diets. If you've ever felt like your food logs are perfectly dialed in, but the scale or the mirror just refuses to budge, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to look really closely at the science of hidden calories and uncover the blind spots that even the most diligent trackers miss. Because honestly, you might not be eating too much because you lack discipline, you might simply be forgetting the calories that are just the easiest to miss.
So why is your progress stalling when you feel like you're eating completely clean? I know so many of us have been there, right? It's so incredibly easy to blame yourself, to just assume you lack discipline or willpower, but I really want to validate that frustration right out of the gate. Let me reassure you, diet plateaus are rarely a failure of willpower. In the vast majority of cases, it's just a simple mathematical discrepancy. You aren't doing it wrong, you just don't have all the data.
There's this fantastic quote from our source material that really hits the nail on the head. Most failed summer diets are not the result of weak discipline. They are the result of building a calorie target on numbers that do not match the food itself. If we look at weight loss not as some sort of moral failing, but purely as an engineering and control system problem, we realize that a stalling diet is literally just signal noise. We have unmeasured inputs sneaking into our system, and it's throwing off all our calculations.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. The hidden calorie problem. 2. Oils, sauces, and dressings. 3. The raw versus cooked mistake. 4. Drinks and healthy snacks. And 5. Information, not guilt. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The hidden calorie problem. The invisible energy sabotaging your goals.
The real issue we're dealing with here isn't the big meals you sit down and actively decide to eat. It's the habitual, automatic, totally unmeasured additions that silently pile up throughout the day without you even realizing it. Research consistently shows that the average person consumes 300 to 500 invisible calories every single day. Let that sink in for a second. These are calories from sources people completely forget to track. They're small, they're incredibly dense, and they're habitual, like a quick splash of oil in the pan, a bit of cream in your morning coffee, or just a little drizzle of dressing. Because they're so automatic, our brains just fail to register them as deliberate eating decisions. And here's the kicker. When you take those 300 to 500 hidden calories and multiply them across a whole week, these forgotten bites and splashes add up to a staggering 3,500 extra calories. That is easily enough to stall any progress or even cause weight gain, entirely by accident, while you genuinely believe you're eating perfectly clean.
Moving to Section 2. Oils, sauces, and dressings. The most calorie-dense culprits in your kitchen. So where is this missing energy hiding? Well, oils and sauces carry the absolute heaviest caloric loads in the smallest, easiest to miss volumes, which makes them the perfect hiding spot. We often fear sugar when we're dieting, right? But a single tablespoon of sugar is just 48 calories. On the flip side, a single tablespoon of olive oil, a total staple of healthy cooking, is roughly 119 calories. Healthy oils actually have more than twice the caloric density of pure sugar. A quick, generous glug from the bottle straight into your frying pan can easily and instantly add 300 to 400 invisible calories.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how a seemingly healthy restaurant salad can completely ambush you, hiding the equivalent of a whole extra meal right in its dressing. Just look at these numbers. The Chipotle vinaigrette comes in at 220 calories. A standard serving of Buffalo Wild Wings Ranch, 240 calories. By comparison, a simple tablespoon of balsamic vinegar is just 15 calories. If you don't control the dressing, the kitchen will often heavy-handedly pour on 3 or 4 tablespoons, which entirely changes the math of your meal. So how do we fix this without eating dry, boring food? It's all about practical adjustments. Step 1. Always ask for restaurant dressings and sauces on the side. Step 2. Instead of pouring that little cup over your greens, simply dip the tines of your fork into the dressing before picking up a bite of salad. You get the flavor in every bite for a fraction of the calories. Step 3. At home, measure your cooking oils with an actual spoon, or better yet, use a cooking spray. These quick fixes drastically cut down on your accidental consumption. All right, Section 3, the raw versus cooked mistake, the mechanical tracking error ruining your math. This is a big one. This mechanical error in calorie tracking accounts for roughly 18% of all food database mistakes. It is absolutely one of the most impactful errors you can make because it completely ruins your math.
The core concept here is that the total calories in a piece of food do not change during the cooking process, but the weight of that food changes drastically. This is because water is either evaporating, like when you cook meat, or being absorbed, like when you make grains. If you weigh your food in one state, but you log it using the database entry of the other state, your math just breaks down entirely.
Let me give you an example. Say you've got 200 grams of chicken breast, and you log it correctly as raw. That's 330 calories. But let's say you grilled that chicken, weighed out 200 grams of the finished, cooked product on your scale, but accidentally tapped the raw entry in your tracking app. Because the cooking process cooks out all that water, 200 grams of cooked chicken is actually 440 calories. That is a massive 110-calorie illusion created just by picking the wrong entry in your app for a single piece of protein.
It's wild because things change so dramatically depending on the food. Chicken breast loses about 25% of its weight to water evaporation. An 80-20 ground beef loses roughly 30% as the fat and water render out. Conversely, starches expand. White rice gains 180% of its weight because it acts like a sponge and absorbs water. This means a cup of dry rice and a cup of cooked rice have wildly different caloric values.
Fortunately, the fix for this is an incredibly simple, hard and fast rule. Always match the state to the entry. Always log the exact state you weigh the food in. If you weigh it raw, you pick the raw entry. If you weigh it cooked, you pick the cooked entry. And as a quick pro tip, weighing your foods raw before you cook them is generally the gold standard for meal prep accuracy because it completely removes the messy variable of exactly how much water cooked out.
Section 4, Drinks and Healthy Snacks. The Health Halo Effect.
Let's talk about the sneaky ways that liquids and highly nutritious but incredibly calorie-dense health foods bypass our brain's satiety signals. And this brilliantly illustrates what we're up against. A plain black coffee, just 5 calories. Add whole milk and some syrups for a large latte, and suddenly you're at 220 calories. But what about that healthy green smoothie packed with avocado, almond butter, and banana? That ultimate symbol of wellness can easily hit 550 calories or more. Liquid calories escalate so rapidly, and the science shows they produce much weaker fullness signals, often leaving us just as hungry as we were before we drank them.
Let's walk through a totally normal day. It's 8 a.m., you add some creamer to your coffee for 104 calories. At 1 p.m., you grab lunch, and a standard restaurant salad oil adds 238 calories. Around 4 p.m., you feel that afternoon slump and grab just a small handful of healthy trail mix. Bam, 420 calories. By 7:30 p.m., you unwind with a standard glass of wine for 159 calories. These tiny, seemingly insignificant additions just silently stacked up to almost 1,000 extra calories, and honestly, you probably wouldn't have logged a single one of them.
And we really have to be careful with the labels on so-called healthy packaged foods. Studies show that pre-made salads and restaurant meals routinely run 8 to 18% over their labeled calories. Plus, get this, FDA labels legally allow a 20% margin of error. And those low-fat swaps you think are saving you calories, they often just strip out the fat and replace it with extra sugar to keep it tasting good. You really have to start treating printed calorie counts on packaged foods as a floor, not a fixed number.
Finally, Section 5, Information, Not Guilt. Reframing your mindset with TruvoFit.
Look, we need to completely take blame out of the equation here and introduce a much calmer, modern way to track what you eat. This is where TruvoFit is an absolute game changer because it was specifically designed to solve the exact problems we've talked about today. It uses AI photo recognition that actually catches the visible sheen of oils and sauces hidden in your meals. Its voice logging parses exact cooking methods, so it automatically knows if something was pan-fried or baked. And it boasts 1.8 million verified database entries that clearly separate raw from cooked states. It's literally built to catch those blind spots without adding an ounce of extra stress to your day. Which brings us to the core TruvoFit mantra and my absolute favorite takeaway. Calories equal information, not guilt. When you see those numbers go up because you logged an oil or a dressing, I want you to remember that tracking food is just gathering data to learn from. It is absolutely not a reason to feel ashamed. You track the trend, you don't track the panic.
It's such a beautifully simple, supportive philosophy. Step 1, log it. Step 2, learn from it. Step 3, move on. You do not lack discipline, guys. You just lacked awareness of the invisible inputs. You simply needed better data. And now you have the exact tools to get it. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. What hidden calories will you uncover in your next meal? Now that you know exactly where they hide, in the pan,
in the dressing cup, in that innocent-looking coffee mug, you can look at your plate completely differently. Embrace the data, use tools like TruvoFit to do all the heavy lifting, and take back control of the hidden math in your diet. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and happy tracking.